Ashe family, welcome back to another episode of My Unapologetic Perspective. This is the podcast where we give our point of view on controversial topics from our experience, Black history, our knowledge as African Americans. Black history presently lives in us so we can continue to excel into the future. It's one thing to know Black history, it's another thing to take advantage of what the people in Black history did for you. I am your host, Martre Baker Stevens, and to the right of me is Mr. Coach 3 teams, going gym to gym every Saturday, coaching the kids up. Mr. Shaquan Battle himself.
Yeah.
And to the right of him is Mr. Can you do a mural at the park for us? Huh? I don't even need no supplies. I'm going to still get the color extracted from the magazine and use that. Himself, our father, Jerome Battle. We back, man. I know it's been a long time. Like I said, it's hard sometimes getting on the schedule with our everyday lives. Like I said, we do this out of passion. We don't do this for money. We don't do this for anything else. So we have our lives that's continue to go. We're not just podcasters. You know, we're fathers. You know, we're grandfathers. We're husbands. We have work that we got to go to 5 days a week.
Right.
You're at basketball tournaments every week. Like, we have a lot going on. So, but when we can get down here and record, we here for the people.
Right.
What's going on? What's up? Where we at? What we talking about?
We know you got a lot. We know you got a lot.
I do, but I know we're not gonna get to everything. So we gotta kind of condense it a little bit. Let's start y'all with the good news or the bad news?
Give us the good news.
The good news? All right, let's start with this. All right. Black mayors. We talked about black mayors and governors before on this podcast, how little in history black people are represented as governors. But even black mayors have faced big challenges in America. One being little or lack of help from the state government, from the governors or whatever the case may be. In my opinion, is because they don't want black people to self-govern themselves, and they want them to fail, or because it's not the white savior type thing. So we're not going to give black mayors the money that they need to help the black community because we as white politicians want to do it that way. We can get that white savior, right? Because you see it all the time. You see, oh, this president gave the most money to the black community, so they done more for black people than any other black person, right? We see that all the time. But if the resources are allotted to black people in power to fix the problems within the black community, it takes away from those political and racial talking points that a lot of politicians like to use, which is black on black crime or the unemployment rate or the government assistance. It takes away from that if you put the money into these black communities and allow these mayors to do what they really want to do with the money. But black mayors have always been fighting against certain challenges. One is gentrification, right? We hear now that a lot of black mayors are trying to implement the rent control to stop gentrification from happening, because without rent control, these people can go up on their prices of rent every month or every year to the point where you push black people out of these neighborhoods, and now we can bring the people that we want to live here and push them out. And this has been going on for decades. Case in point with the governor situation, we talked about it on this podcast back when Jackson, Mississippi was going through that water crisis, and the black mayor was not able to get any assistance from the governor of Mississippi during that time, to even the point the governor of Mississippi in the state wanted to strip the black city from its police control, court control, or any infrastructure control. They wanted basically a state takeover of Jackson in Mississippi. Again, go back a long history. You can go back to the 90s. You know, they did a survey or a study, and 42% of black elected officials had been harassed by the Department of Justice and was targeted to try to be removed from office. Back in 2022, Karen Bass, that ran for, she became the first black African-American woman mayor of LA. And weeks before the election, the LAPD get two investigators and try to smear her campaign, try to find any wrongdoing. And while they're treating her like it's a scandal on the news, they find no wrongdoing in real life. And this is something that's happened to a lot of black politicians moving forward. During the COVID time, the Atlanta mayor, Keisha Bottoms, she got sued by the governor of Georgia for requiring masks. This is during the time where at the height of the pandemic, where the numbers was raising, black people were dying, blacks and Hispanics were being affected the most by COVID, and she was trying to, have those restrictions with the mask, and the governors was like, "Nah, we're not having it," because the red state Republicans had their feeling about the pandemic, right? But it affected the black community, so black mayors had to come together and try to say, we need to get this stuff mandated because it's affecting our community. But when you talk about the changes that's being able to be produced when black mayors who come from that town or come from that city and want to really see change, you have people like Carl Stokes, who was the first African-American mayor of a major city, Cleveland, Ohio. And he prioritized policing. So what he wanted to do was let's put black police officers in the Cleveland Police Department, put them into the black neighborhoods, and we could create change through there. And he also held police accountable, which is still active in Cleveland to this day. In Gary, Indiana, Richard Hatcher, he served from the 60s to the 80s in Gary, Indiana as the mayor. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to change the economic system. So all of the city's contracts went to black business owners. This is the way that people who may do cleaning services or stuff like that get the opportunity to make money from the city. Mayor in Atlanta did the same thing. Maynard Jackson did the exact same thing, which is all of the city contracts, 5% of those go to black businesses, and we see where Atlanta is today as far as the black economic growth that they had. But more recently, Mayor Brandon Scott is redirecting $2 million of taxpayers' money to a nonprofit youth program. In the first 6 months of 2025, this is in Baltimore, highlighting 64% homicide clearance rate and 44% clearance rate for non-fatal shootings. Robbery's been down 30%, carjack is down 17%, auto theft down 37%. Baltimore has seen a significant drop in homicides, with the first half of 2025 recording the fewest it's been in 50 years. The mayor, again, implemented the summer youth programs and strategies. This strategy led to a 66% decrease in shooting victims and a 31% decrease in aggravated assault victims in 2024. You're talking about 42 summer camps for the youth. Parks, basketball, pools. This opens up opportunity for kids to go do something rather than be in the streets, right? In Birmingham, they kind of did the same thing. Homicide is down 52% compared to last year. And they had record-breaking numbers last year that broke records back until 1933. So when you look at what these two black mayors are doing right now, Mayor Scott of Baltimore and Mayor Woodfin of Birmingham, Alabama, they're taking the money, putting it to the black community, creating programs for children and teenagers to get out of the streets and do something constructive with your time.
Right.
And now we're seeing a decrease in the homicides. We're seeing a decrease in the crime. And this is something that could have been happening a long time ago if you get state governors to do their job, because in Maryland, this is able to happen because the black governor, what's his name, Moore in Maryland, implemented the Enough Act, which a certain amount of money goes to disproportionate urban areas, rural areas where children are living in poverty, to be able to get them what they need to get in order to succeed. These are the type of things that is needed in the black community to be able to change the black community. When people have the outcry, what about black on black crime? Okay, let's look at the policies. Let's look at where the money is going to, the school funding. Let's look at all of these things and understand why it is the way it is. And that's the things that these two black mayors are changing right now. And I want to give them their just due. Mayor Randall Woodfin and Mayor Scott of Baltimore. Congratulations to those brothers, and keep up the good work.
And they did that without federal funding. Because you got to remember, in order to do that, that's considered DEI.
Yes, it is.
So you get no federal funding for that. So they're doing that with state money only and city money for Baltimore.
Right.
With no federal funding. So it can be done. So this is a reaction to what the Trump administration has been putting in place since he's been in office, and even started before he was put in office. So kudos to them for saying, okay, we don't need the federal government to help us with this. We don't need your money to do this. So that to me, that makes it even a greater feat, because they chose to do this knowing they was going to get no federal monies to be able to do it.
Right.
I think because I heard an OG say a couple years ago that when you ask these young kids to get off the streets, stop selling drugs, you have to give them an alternative.
Yeah.
If you don't give them an alternative, then they're gonna look at you like, what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So that's like yesterday we had a basketball tournament in Roanoke, and it's probably 10 to 12 Roanoke teams in it, and here Lynchburg and Roanoke is the biggest crime area. So you think you got 10 to 12 teams, maybe 8 kids a team, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. That's time that they're not on the streets. They're playing basketball.
Right.
So you don't know how many lives you saved yesterday just from having a basketball tournament where kids is playing basketball not in the street.
That's right.
Yeah, and I know people hate that we always talk about sports in the black community. But let's be honest, that sports is one of the avenues that keeps kids occupied.
Right.
Right? So that was kind of our only option, because when black people wanted to go to the public pools, they shut the pools down because the white communities didn't want black people over there.
Right.
And they didn't want to use the money to run a white pool and a black side pool. And then you go to the YMCA. Most black kids can't afford to go to the YMCA, or back then they weren't able to get into the YMCA because you had to have a reference from another white person to be able to get in. So a lot of times they didn't have anything to do. When you look at the deterioration of the black community, it started with the lack of resources going to the places to fix certain stuff. Yes, you built these places for black people to live in and to have in the playgrounds, but to fix it whenever it's messed up is a problem. So when you got broken elevators in the building, when you live in a housing projects, this is where the broken window theory comes in. When you have one broken window and it doesn't get fixed, that becomes the normal. So when there's 2 broken windows, it's normal, right?
normal.
And next thing you know, the entire neighborhood has broken windows because the first one didn't get fixed. This goes back to that type of thing. And when the children began to make gangs, a lot of it was out of boredom. They had nothing else to do. They couldn't go to the playgrounds because the playgrounds was messed up. There was no avenue, no pools open. You couldn't do certain things. There was just no avenue for them to do certain things. So when you don't have anything to do, you create something to do, and that thing is not always positive.
Right.
Yeah, you create something to do, and it's about acceptance. You go where you're accepted. And if you're and I can specifically for black people, if you're athletic, then sports accept you.
Right.
Coaches accept you. Other players accept you. So if you can play a particular sport, you're accepted. So you go where you're accepted. We talk about it all the time, music and science. We would like to have kids start thinking about music, science, mathematics, art, anything other than athletics. Because obviously you got all these kids that think they're going to be the next LeBron James, and you'd be lucky if you even make it to college,
Right.
let alone to the NBA. So you have all these brothers applying for full-time positions that only maybe 4 or 5 of them are going to get. So you would like for them to look for other avenues of acceptance, but you have to create the acceptance.
Right.
And that's what a lot of these black mayors and governors have been trying to do for years, is create the acceptance. But I think Bake gave us some really good history for this podcast. But obviously, a lot of things that has happened since the last time we had this podcast that is kind of reinventing history to where history is now the present once again. And I want to. This is specifically for black people. I want to tell you a story. So there's a let's just say there's a farm family. There's a farmer's family, and there's a mouse in the house. So the farmer puts down the trap to catch the mouse. And the mouse sees this and says, "Oh God, I need some help." So the mouse goes to the chicken and say, "Hey, Mr. Chicken, I need some help." They put down a mouse trap. We got to get this thing out of here. And the chicken go, "That's a mouse trap. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I can't help you." So then he goes to the pig, says the same thing. "Hey, Mr. Pig, they put down the mouse trap. I need your help. We need to get this thing out of here." And the pig go, "Nah, I can't. It's a mouse trap. I can't help you." So then he goes to the cow, says the same thing. The cow gives him the same response. So the next day, the wife goes in and notices there's a snake on the trap. So she tries to remove the snake, but the snake's a poisonous snake and the snake bites her. And she's trying to remove it. So now she gets gravely ill. So what's the first thing you normally do when somebody gets ill? You feed them chicken soup. So the farmer grabs the chicken, bam, makes the chicken soup. So as the woman's getting worse, family and friends start coming to visit. But you got to have food for the visitors. So he goes and grabs the pig, makes food for the visitors. Unfortunately, the farmer's wife dies. So after the funeral, you got to have food for the repast. They go and pluck the cow so that they can have food for the repast. So in the end, this problem that everybody thought was just the mouse's problem ends up becoming their problem too.
Word.
So I want people, black people, there's been a lot of articles that I've read, a lot of reels that I've seen about telling and encouraging black people to stay away from the immigrant protests because of what's going on with the deportations of immigrants. And black people have been buying into this, saying this is not our fight. Any injustice, any discrimination, any inequality is our fight. It doesn't matter that they don't necessarily look like you or come from where you think you come from. That doesn't matter. Injustice is injustice. It doesn't matter the color, nationality, sexual orientation, or gender. It doesn't matter. We're supposed to stand up for injustice, period. You know, there was Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor tells the story, it's a joke, but it's a story that I think is really good. He said when he used to walk to school every day, he had to go past this yard. They had a whole lot of dogs in it. And the dogs would just be growling and barking and trying to get at him, trying to get out the fence. And he knew if they ever got out, they'd tear his ass up. His dad died. And he said the day his dad died, he was walking up the street, and one of the dogs said, "Hey, Rich, why you look so down?" And he said, "Yeah, my dad just died." He said, "Oh, man, sorry to hear that." He said, "We're going to give you a pass today because your dad died. But tomorrow we're going to be back on that." So if you think about what's going on right now, right now it's immigration. And they're targeting immigrants, so-called immigrants. And I say that because we're all fucking immigrants. Europeans are immigrants. So right now they're looking at immigrants. But don't think for a second they forgot about your black ass.
Right.
Don't think for a second that you are now a part of the privilege just because the focus is not on you. Remember that, because the laws that they're passing right now, the things that the Trump administration is going back and forth to court for, is going to negatively impact you one way or the other. Now, the great thing about some of the things the administration is doing can be and will be, hopefully, fixed when you get another president. But until then, you're going to have to do what we've been doing for over 400 years, which is enduring, which is perseverance, which is figuring out how you can make change first within your life and within your family, and then expanding that. If that means protest, you got to do it. If you Google right now, there's no amount of information you could be able to gather that will tell you how impactful the Black Lives Matter movement was. You will find a lot of things that discourage that type of action if you're black. The insurrection with what happened when Donald Trump lost the election. That side rules that as something that was good and that everybody should do that, except black people. He's already basically pardoned everybody that was convicted and sent to prison for their part in the insurrection. The other thing is when we look at immigrants, and I'm just going to be honest. I'm just going to go off the top for a quick second. If I'm not mistaken, Melania Trump was here on was supposed to be a work visa.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be a work visa that she was here on, but she didn't. She was not here on a work visa. She applied for the work visa after being here for a while, and her current visa had expired. But then she applied for what's called the Einstein visa, which says that you're supposed to have significant achievements in certain areas that she didn't have. Yet she was here and still here. Same thing for the vice president's wife. So when we look at immigrants, I think about probably the worst form of racism and discrimination you could possibly have in terms of privilege is what's called the lack of moral integrity, which means I can do certain things, but when you do those same things, it's wrong. They can do whatever they want, but it's wrong. I watched a reel the other day where a cop pulled over some Native Americans that was driving, and the cop was asking them for their identification and asked them, "Are you American citizens?" And he said, "We're the first ones." What are you talking about? You know, the first immigrants in this country was Caucasians. They were the first ones. The first terrorists were Caucasians. The first insurrection, the Revolutionary War. You had states that took up arms against the United States, and the reward that they get is they name schools and military ships after them, and they say that's okay. Now this is going to hurt some people, but I'm going to say it, and you feel how you want to feel about it. What's the difference between what the South did, the Confederate States, and those that led troops against the Union soldiers, than what Hitler did?
It's no difference. It's treason.
But if I name my boat Adolf Hitler, it's a problem. But you can name yours Stonewall Jackson. You feel me? So I say this again: the worst type of privilege there is when there's a lack of moral integrity, and I think that's what we're going through. Rosie O'Donnell made some comments the other day. Most people don't know who the hell she is, but anyway, the fact that she made some comments that got the president's attention to where he threatened to revoke her citizenship, which he can't do. You can't say you're no longer American. You can't do that. But he said it out of the fact that he's all about saying that you have the right to say what you want to. Freedom of speech. You're protected by the amendment, right? Except it doesn't apply to you. You can't say, I say whatever I want to say. As the president of the United States, as Donald Trump, as a privileged white person, I can say whatever I want, but you cannot. That's the lack of moral integrity, which in my opinion is probably the biggest threat to not just American security, but American humanity, is the lack of moral integrity.
You know, I know we always, talk about race, and people say, well, race is a social construct, and it is, but race isn't a factor in everything, and everything isn't about black and white. But as black people, as foundational black Americans, we hope that the Hispanics have learned that lesson, that it is.
That's right.
When people always talk about their heritage, their culture, or how they identify, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I get it. But understand that when you come to America, that shit goes out the window. This country is based off of race.
Absolutely.
You either black or you white.
That's right.
You can identify with European culture all you want to. You could be identify as a white Hispanic or whatever the case may be, all you want to. When they look at you, they don't see a white American.
No.
They're not going to look at you that way. You are an immigrant. So when all of them people who voted for Donald Trump from the Hispanic community got up there and you talk bad about, black people, because that's what they'll do. They'll use you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? They'll use the Asians against black people for DEI.
That's right.
And affirmative action. They'll use Hispanics to talk about the black history stuff in schools. They'll use you, but once they done with you, they done with you.
That's right.
It don't matter. It don't matter if you voted for them or not. You're a part of the agenda to make America great again. That
right.
does not include you.
Does not include you. Does not include us.
So I hope that those brothers and sisters learn their lesson. And I think black people, as foundational black Americans, we should take pride in people asking, where is black people at on this? Because we are the lead people, not only in this country, in the world, who will not tolerate certain shit from people. And we will stand up and we will talk about it. We will call you out about it. We will march and protest about it. If you don't like the marches and protesting, we will burn the motherfucker down. That's what we is.
That's right.
And as much as they talk about, oh, don't riot, don't do this, don't do that, when it's time to hit the streets, people always want to know, where the black people at?
That's right.
Can you come help the Hispanics? Can you come help the Asians? Can you come help the Africans? Can you come help the Haitians and the Jamaicans? They always want to know where the foundational black American at, because that is what we do.
That's right.
Because we're the only ones they can't deport.
That's right.
You can't deport us.
That's right.
So we're gonna sit here and talk shit about what it is that's going on. But we should take pride in them looking for us, because we are the most outspoken people when it comes to fighting for, as you said, injustice.
That's right.
Injustice here is injustice everywhere. So we want to make sure that we correct all injustices. There's nothing wrong with being the people for that. But I tell you other people that, the Hispanics, the Jamaicans, the Haitians, the Africans, anybody else, don't forget when we do show up.
Yeah. And they will forget. You know, they did a survey. I can't think of the school that they did the survey, but they did a survey where they asked a question. So in a let's just say a wartime environment where you have lawlessness and you have there's basically no law enforcement, there's no government. And they asked the question, if you have a few families in the neighborhood that are, you know, they're basically hunkered down in one environment. Maybe it's a home or something, maybe it's a basement, whatever, but they're surviving together. Mm-hmm. And you have food and you have your family intermingle with other families. What do you do with the food first? For black people say we split it. Everybody eats. Mm-hmm. We're going to make sure everybody eats. Most white families said, I'm going to make sure my family eats first. Mm-hmm. And the question is, which one's right? See, for the history of this country, black people are the most forgiving, most nourishing, mm-hmm. and the most resilient. And in those type of situations, we're going to do whatever it takes so everybody survives.
For sure. Right.
Because now we're all family, because we're all being treated the same. Mm-hmm. There's no way I can treat your family any different than mine. It's the same fucking situation I'm in. See, white people don't look at it that way, because they still privileged. It's my job to look out for my family first. Mm-hmm. And one of y'all motherfuckers die, ain't got nothing to do with me. Right? Now, a lot of people would say that's not wrong. And I can't say that it is. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying the way that black people think is we're all going to try to survive, mm-hmm. instead of me just looking out for my my family. And then I had a guy tell me, he said, that's part of our problem, is that we look out for everybody else. We don't even look out for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And ain't nobody else looking out for us. Mm-hmm. But you, what say you? What do you say?
It's the most human thing. There's nothing wrong with it, because it is the most human attribute that you can have, to put everybody else on the same playing field as you.
That's right.
But we always say the white man want us to have our heaven afterlife, they're having their heaven on earth.
On earth.
Right? So if you want the privileges to be able to do the things that they do, it takes a form of inhumane type of things
Yeah.
to achieve it.
That's right.
Because we look at what they achieved, and
how
they
achieve
marvel
it.
at how they achieve it,
That's right.
but it's at the detriment of somebody else.
That's right. Absolutely.
So for us, there's nothing wrong with thinking the way we think. That's the way. That's
the way you should be.
We're the most. Not even just. We're the most religious people that you can think of.
That's right.
You know, we love us some God. Whatever, however you name them, we love us God, some
right.
God.
That's
right. And we try to practice that in our everyday life, even if we'll save a racist life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care.
Don't care.
It's a life. It's a life. We don't.
And there's
care
nothing
what
wrong
color.
with thinking like that.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, you're never going to get to,
No.
because you're always going to put everything else
Before
fairly.
that.
You got anything?
Yeah. Just something to tie it all together. I remember when I first had a kid, Dad told me the most important times for a family, the memorable times you're gonna have is in the car on road trips. So on our way to these tournaments, Richmond, wherever we go, we kind of talk about, what to the kids, what do y'all want to do when you grow up? And, for us, it was either go to college or get a job. Dad talked to us about trade schools, but we weren't trying to hear that. So now what we try to do, I give you an example. Sonny, she wants to do hair, but she also wants to be a nurse. And from what I told her was, you expensive. Nurse would probably be your better option because you're expensive. But what I don't want her to do is look at her mom and see the way that she does hair and think that's how it's supposed to be. Because if you look at my wife, she took cosmetology in school, and we was having this conversation in the car, and she was like, she just feel like she didn't give it her all because she didn't have that chance to fully pursue it, to own her own business. And what I explained to her was, this is what we talk about on this podcast all the time, is that privilege, that head start that most white people probably don't even know that they get, which is, the salon she works at is owned by 2 white women. And what I told her was, you don't have the privilege. I don't make enough money for you to sit at home where one of their husbands probably do. We didn't inherit property from our grandparents, so we're not living in our grandparents' home or our grandparents' family home. And she was like, well, one of the owners, and I didn't know this when I said it, she said, well, one of the owners, he makes enough money because if the business fail, he has an opening into a higher position because of somebody his dad knows. That's the privilege that we speak of. Dad didn't have a job on his own business where I can go out and do, let's just call it what it is, I can go do fuck shit, and then he sat me down at 25 and say, you know what, you're coming to work here full time and this is going to be your job. And he the CEO of a company. We didn't have that. So what I'm trying to teach, and like Bake said earlier, is I know everybody say we bring things back to sports, but it's so many life tools you can learn with a basketball, football, baseball, volleyball, whatever it is that you can use. And what I'm trying to teach my kids is, okay, Jay, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to make it to the NBA. Cool, I love that dream. Let's bring that dream to a smaller scale now, because that might not happen. How can we use this orange basketball to get you into college for free?
For sure.
And to do the thing that you want to do for the rest of your life.
For sure.
Even if it's not basketball.
For sure.
Lil Kurt, how can I get this basketball and football to help you in school to go to the college you want to be in and to do the thing that you want to do for the rest of your life.
I mean, because that's ultimately what drove me. Of course, every kid as a teenager, you want to get to college, you want to play D1 or D2, right. You want to get to college. So for me, I remember if your grades ain't right, then there's no basketball, right? So high school, I kicked it into another gear, AB honor roll. So once basketball dreams withered away, you still had the grades there to be able to get you where you need to be. So you could be motivated by a goal, but two things tie into one: basketball, grades, and that when one fades away, the other one catapults you to the next place.
And I want them to understand, when you say AB honor roll, you had, through 4 years of high school, you had 1B.
Right.
All the rest was straight A's.
Right.
So when we lose that, was the state championship, the state tournament, when we lose in the state tournament and everybody's crying because it's your last basketball game, and then the next day you get that acceptance letter from Marshall, okay, all of this paid off.
Right.
I used this tool to keep me in school, because that's first, because we know that a lot of high schools will just pass you through. I used this tool to keep me in school, to get me through school, to get me to do the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Funny thing is that next week, coach came to me and said, "Hey, somebody's interested in you coming to play basketball." I said, I've already got my mind made up.
That's right.
Basketball's already gone for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's dope. That is dope. And again, not just the conversation alone. Having conversations with your children to kind of get their mindset on certain things is so important. I got one more thing. And number one, we've talked about this on this podcast before, but I don't want to cater it that way. This is no Dr. Umar, no snow bunnies type of conversation. But I will say this. Let me just start with the shit that RG3 is doing. RG3 and Ryan
said who?
But here's the thing, though. It's not just RG3. As much as I love, and I know they're going to say it's jokes, but as much as I love the Joe Budden podcast, they has been doing it too.
They do it too. So let me just, and it's going to go into something. So let me just start with that. RG3 and Ryan Clark got into it a few months back about, of course, the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark conversation, which is another parody within itself on what I'm getting at. And then, Ryan Clark spoke out to say, you are criticizing, intimidating a black woman while you're married to a white woman standing behind you. Like, that's corny. But then Ryan Clark came back and apologized. So should have never brought your wife into it. Should have never. But he said something that a lot of us was thinking.
As you said, always black people,
but Ryan
always
Clark,
forgiven.
He's a professional, and he was like, I shouldn't have did that. Which, kudos to him. Then RG3 came back and said something a few days ago about her kind of doubling down on it, which is corny too. But that's some corny ass shit. But what I will say, there is a lot of people, black men, if you date a white woman, married to a white man, have a white woman significant other, that's your business. If you find love where you find it, that's dope. I applaud it. Round of applause to you. Have a happy life. My cousins that's married to white women, they like family. I got a white grandmother, I call her, because my granddad was with a white woman, and that's my grandmother to me. Right. That's family. I have no problem with it. Love her to death. But when you use that as a tool to downgrade black women is when I have a problem with it. Sayings like, if it ain't snowing, I ain't going. Or I only date white women, or it's only snow bunnies for me, and I don't want nothing to do with black. Like, it's those type of people. You hate yourself, because that's not only disrespectful to the black women that you could pursue. That's disrespectful to your black mother.
Right.
That's disrespectful to your black grandmother. That's disrespectful to your black aunt or your black sister that you may have. So if you love all of these black women in your life that raised you, helped cultivate you into who you are, How can you out your mouth say, I don't want to be with a black woman, it's only white women for me? That says something about you. That number one, you even treating this white woman like a trophy to prove to all the other black men that you got a white woman, to all the other white men that you can get a white woman, that's your thing that you put up on the pedestal, and that's a problem. That's a you problem. That's a self-hatred problem. There are white men who are literally calling Michelle Obama Michael Obama, like calling her a man. The people, regardless of what you think about Asia Reese playing basketball, which has been pretty phenomenal the last fucking month or 2 months, calling that woman a man. There's a few tall, black, very attractive women in the WNBA they posted a picture of, and all of the white men under there saying, "Oh, those men are those transvestites or those that." These are the things that black women are dealing with. And for black men who are sons, grandsons, nephews, brothers of these black women to come out and disrespect black women is a problem for me. Again, you love who you want to love. But when you equate that to disrespecting their counterpart, it blows my mind, especially with the history of the shit. You know what I mean? And there's nobody that's going to defend them. There is no black men defending black women in these comment sections. There is no type of thought process to understand the things that black women deal with when they got to see a picture to say this is a black man's worst nightmare and it's a white woman. Like, that makes them feel away. So when y'all say, oh, you got your wigs, you got your nails done, you're changing your hair color, well, you have something to do with that. Because obviously they're looking at you, looking at the white woman and saying, well, the black man is attracted to that. And it shouldn't have to be like that. And I just want to point out the fact that it's corny as hell and disrespectful as hell for those people for black men to undervalue and underappreciate black women like that.
Facts.
You know, I think about something that Dick Gregory used to say all the time, and even Louis Farrakhan said it as well. Like, you don't see in the white community athletes, singers, rappers, actors. In the white community, you don't see them being leaders. You don't see them listening to Brad Pitt on social issues.
Yeah.
Right.
The way that the black community rallies behind those same people and on social issues or political issues. Like, anybody that has a platform that speaks about those things, we gather behind them because they have the platform, and they don't get the platform every day. But it still blows my mind, like, if you follow sports the way we do, who the fuck cares what RG3 says? You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
So who's creating the platform for feedback for this dude, right? So you look at ESPN.
He got fired from one of them, didn't he?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, he got fired from the NFL. But the thing is you can attribute a reason, and this is a good one. They drafted him thinking he was a black quarterback.
Right.
But he didn't play as a black quarterback. So does it surprise you? Does it surprise you that he does not like, and we'll just speak in general, black people? Because if you talk negative about black women, you obviously are talking negative about black people in general.
Because we count
Right? Exactly. So I say pay attention in this case. Usually we tell you don't look at the messenger, listen to the message. In this case, God damn it, look at the messenger. Right? RG3 has no merit to speak on anything, not even football. So why are you even giving credence to that? Because it's really not black people that's creating the atmosphere.
Right.
This is a way for white America to continue to divide black people. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it.
Yeah, but you just see it, and it's a lot of the younger generation. I get, you're 19, 20 years old. When I was younger, I might have said the same type of shit, but my aunts reeled me in real quick and understand that, if she hides you from her parents, then something wrong,
Well,
right?
they used to say that about Serena Williams.
Yeah.
Which is why you see a lot. You started seeing towards the end of her career, you start to see her in dress and heels, where she was trying to prove that I'm a woman instead of having people think that she was not, because she was whooping people's asses.
And they do that. They do that to most black celebrities who, you look at Simone Biles, you look at Serena Williams, you look at a Candace Parker, you look at a lot of these black females who dominate on the athletic level. And the first thing that white men say is, "Oh, that's a man."
Yeah, or they use other terms, like they call them a freak of nature. If you're super athletic, they say a freak of nature. They don't say that about any white athletes, though, because you have some white athletes that are freaks of nature, that super athletic, but they don't say that about them.
Right.
They only say that about the black ones.
Yeah, which also leads me. It kind of goes into another topic that I had real quick. I got a coworker who's from New York, and she was with me on the transport last week, and she said something that kind of coincides with this. She's a bigger black female. Again, she's from New York, talks aggressive, and she said, they said I got an attitude problem. I said, you don't have an attitude problem. I said, they don't understand how to take you. I said, you got to remember, you're in the South where white men are used to people just going by what they say. So when you give them some pushback, they're not used to that. You look at a lot of the white women that may be at the facility or whatever, or they may work with you. They don't talk the way that you talk, nor do they look the way that you look. Like you look like you can fight. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes white men are intimidated by that. And their thing is that you may have an attitude problem, or they're kind of afraid of you. And it just goes back to a little bit of the topic that I had about the good old boys club. We know that exists in the South, or it exists in so many different workplaces. When you look at Donald Trump, right? He pardoned a sheriff from Virginia who was about to go do 10 years for bribery. Pardoned him. One of his first things he did was pardon or gave clemency to the rioters on the Capitol building, right? Black women are usually the ones that's not promoted within a job field. It's because I always say it's because I ain't a part of the clique. You ain't part of the clique. And so many jobs got these cliques where white men promote their buddies.
That's right.
Right? It's judges and lawyers and officers or important, powerful people bring in their people.
That's right.
That's what they look out for one another.
That's right.
And you get these places that have good old boys clubs, and it hinders a lot of people from being able to grow within a job or get hired. Black people are usually the ones that get disciplined for something more than white men are for similar situations.
That's right.
It's because there is a good old boys club. Have you ever worked at a place with a good old boys club?
I'm there.
Have you worked at a place with a good old boys club? Or have you witnessed it before?
Yeah, and the thing is this what we talked about before is they don't view it that way. Nobody sees it that way, even when you bring it to their attention. It's almost like it's the part of the privilege.
Yeah.
Right? It's part of the privilege. What do you mean? Yeah, no, everybody does it. Like because it's something. This is how you get systemic racism and systemic injustice, is because nobody sees it that way. Everybody else is doing it. Right. Kenny did it. Such and such did it. And it just continues on and on and on and on. And the only way you can break it is you have to have someone. We talk about the white savior, But you almost need a white savior in those situations. You need somebody that's in it
Yeah.
that says, yo, this ain't right. We need to change this.
And it usually is. I always say at my job, I'll be honest. I tell them, I ain't kissing nobody's ass.
Right.
Y'all
That's
can forget
right.
about that. You know what I'm saying? And I can say that I earned my promotions at my job by just doing my job, because I don't expect people to know my name. I'm going there to do my job. I ain't doing a whole lot of communicating with people. I'm just there to do my job. And a couple weeks ago, when my head boss came and shook my hand and said, "How you doing, Stevens?" Blew my mind, because I'm like, "How you know my name?" "Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, I gave you a raise because I see all the work that you've been doing." Hey, appreciate it. But I'm not going for that. I'm not sitting in nobody's office kissing nobody's ass. I
Right.
tell them all the time, I ain't going to no off-site thing that y'all do on the weekends. I ain't doing that shit. I ain't going to no conference with y'all. I ain't doing none of that.
I, the thing that I hate is, right, and got one of the managers at work when Bronny got drafted, you know. And my thing is, I don't talk sports with everybody because, Dad, I remember you told us one time, not everybody views sports the way y'all do. So that's why it's no problem for me to talk sports with you, but I don't talk sports with everybody. And walk in, the guy was like, yeah, LeBron James got his son drafted. And normally I don't say nothing, but this time I said, what's wrong with that? Oh, he's taking the opportunity from somebody else. I said, okay, out of these 30 drivers in here, how many your family?
That's right.
2. How many did you know before they started working here? 4. Okay, let's do the math on
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
So those 6 that you know might have took opportunity away from somebody
else.
that I know.
Absolutely.
But guess what? When I come in here and say, hey, I got somebody that's looking for a job, you say okay, and then they never get an interview. Now, LeBron James, who have carried this shit for 22 years, has made the NBA profitable as ever, who has not made a mistake in the public eye at all.
Right.
You mean to tell me for what he's done for 22 years, he can't get his son drafted?
55th pick.
When a 55th pick,
That's
when
right.
you got 2 of your cousins in here and 4 other people that you know in here driving a truck, what's the issue with that?
That's one of the things I loved about John Thompson. Speaking of,
You know it.
John Thompson on a panel with 4 other white college coaches, and one of them had a problem with John Thompson recruiting only black players, and he was like, "Yeah, I only recruit black players." He said, out of all the out of the 240 something D1 schools, all those are still recruiting white players first. Why the fuck can I recruit black players first?
Right.
Why can't I help people that look like me when
Yeah.
you're doing it every day and been doing it for centuries? And the first time I do it, it's a problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, I've seen it in this area, and I ain't talking bad about nobody, but there's a certain university here who has recruited a few places from a certain high school when them players is not that damn good to be at that university.
Yep.
And one of them happens to have a son on the squad. Just saying, he ain't that damn good. I'm just being honest with you.
It's okay when they do it. Remember what I said.
Right.
Moral integrity.
That shit happened at the high school. You show up to
That's
your
right.
family can donate the money. He on the team. He ain't no damn good.
Yes. Lack of moral integrity,
Yeah.
man.
Appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Peace.